your income doesn't exceed your personal development. If I give you $1 million right now, you won't become a millionaire. Maybe on paper, maybe in your bank account. You're not going to become a millionaire if I give you $1 million, because you haven't got a millionaire mindset, because you haven't got a millionaire skills, and you haven't got a millionaire habits, and you haven't made $1 million yet, maybe some of you. And your income performance will go back to your skills and who you are. And why am I saying this? If you take all the wealth in the world and you distribute it equally by people to everyone, it would take a very short time until it goes back to the same pockets. Why is that? And you got right to the point. Give value to people. And we're going to speak about the value that you as software developers, you as humans can give. Okay? Just on the way over here, I saw a beggar coming to the window of my car and asking for money. Now, I tend to give money to charities and donation, but in this case I decided not to. I felt really bad with myself. But I realized that I only give money to people who change. If I gave money to this beggar, it would be a very short fall again for him to becoming a beggar again. Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. And unless you change the way you behave, and unless you change your habits, success won't notice you. Success is looking for a warm house to stay in, okay? And I'm about to finish my basic laws of how to excel in your career before I start going into proper techniques and strategies and setting goals of how you're going to do it. And also, we're actually going to be active today. You're not only going to sit down listening. Very soon or later, you are going to have your job interviews. And I think one of the biggest mistakes I've done in life, and I see others doing also, is going to a job interview and asking, what am I going to get? What salary am I going to get? What car am I going to get? What hours am I going to get? What an office I'm going to get? What a desk I'm going to get? And most people don't ask themselves, what am I going to become? I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to finish this internship and go back to point zero where you are right now, because you didn't ask the right question. It's harder to do this when you come from a point where you are a beggar. You remember the beggar I told you? Well, I'm not saying any of you are beggars. I'm not saying any of you, I don't know your financial state. I don't know what's your bank account. I don't know what you've inherited or not.
Pretty close to that.
Pretty close to
I think 4 months.
Right. So I don't know. And I have to say, I grew up in a house in the Chemish after going out of the kibbutz. We didn't have much money growing up as a kid. And I remember my parents, and I also remember myself. Before and after the army service, I wasn't excelling in my career in any way. I was a beggar. And as a beggar, it's harder to see that. As a beggar, you are looking for, what am I going to get? Am I going to have a bus to get to my internship? Am I going to have a normal office? Do I need to buy a computer to write my own code, to write this company's code? So it's harder to ask, what am I going to become, when you're trying to survive, right? But at those moments, the hardest moments, these winters, these are the moments where you should ask it hard. You should remind yourself. You should hold something in front of your face saying, what am I going to become? I know I might be more of a beggar. I might stay a beggar, but I am becoming something which will never allow me to go back. I don't have a different opportunity right now, right? Wrong. One of the cases I remember for my army service is, I told you I wasn't doing very well. I did become a senior commander in my unit, but beforehand I wasn't doing very well. I was almost kicked out of training. I remember coming to my commander and saying, Jonathan, I want you to give me a responsibility. Everyone in the team has a responsibility, and I see any one of them which has a responsibility is doing well. Amir is responsible of the logistics of the team during training. Berger is in charge of the medics of the team. Doron is in charge of learning. I want you to give me a responsibility. He looks at me and he says, Daniel, this is not how life works. You don't wait for someone to give you a responsibility. You don't ask for someone to give you a responsibility. You take responsibility. Success is something you attract and not something that you pursue. Okay? If you are trying to be a successful person and you act and you take responsibility, more people will want to help you. I would work a lot harder to find you an internship because I want to be close to successful people. And successful people want to be closer to other successful people. They want to grow their network. You've got to make sure that you are the average of the people around you. If you find yourself around a bunch of losers, I'm sorry, but you are not going to become more than the average of a bunch of losers. If you surround yourself with successful people, if you surround yourself with people who demand more from themselves and from you, you will be the average of successful people which demand more than themselves. I think that you feel if someone or the people around you are below average people or above average people, and you know it's hard to tell because some of these people would be above average engineers, right? Above average software developer, above average logic mind. But you look at them and you say, he's not an above average person. This is exactly what I want you to avoid. I want you to kind of think, I wish you to kind of think that in these places you go to, don't go to the best software developer and say, I'm going to be next to this guy because he's the best software developer. Yeah, learn from his best skills. But if you see that he is a below average person in all the other things he does, he's not going to exceed anything. And I'll explain to you something very simple in life. You get two people from the same town, same age, went to the same school, learned the same thing in school, later on went to the same job, they learned the same thing in university, they went to the same job, the same company, they do the same position. One gets 1K, the other one gets 2K. Twice as much. What's the difference between 1 and 2K? 1K? No. That's exactly what is not the difference. The difference between 1 and 2K is maybe numeric, maybe a number, 1K. That's good math you got there. But the difference is the value that this person brings. They do the same job, they do the same everything. Why am I willing to pay more to this person and not to this? Because he gives me more value, and this is the basic law of economics. The market pays for value and not for time. I hear a lot of people saying that if I had more time, I'd make more money, right? Well, tough luck, you don't have more time. It doesn't exist. I can't give you more time. It just doesn't work. That means with the time you have to create more value. If you create more value, you get a better than average salary, you get a better than average job, and what would make the difference between the market willing to give you 3x compared to the person which gets an average is the fact that you give 3x value. You may be lucky, like I said before, get a lucky job, or a lucky salary, or a lucky deal. But like I said before, if you are not more than average person, or more than the average yourself, it will just fall very quickly back to where you were before. I'm telling you because this happened to me many times in life. I had very lucky jobs. I'm an extremely lucky person. I went one day to the Kinetic, the Gali DC. I meet a guy. He decides to give me 2 million shekels and say, hey, go, take this money, do good stuff with it. I'm not kidding you.
Where is this exactly?
How I find this guy?
Still around? Like, is he,
So if you listen carefully, you'll hear again. That these 2 million shekels, how fast do you think they were lost? It took them about 1 year to lose all their value. I tried different programs, I tried the easy ways. I said, I got money. I don't need to work hard to think too much about the programs I want to do. I'll just pay people without thinking too much and hope that they will do their job. How fast do you think I lost these 2 million shekels he gave me the first day? Took me a year to lose it. He comes to me after a year, he says, Daniel, have you changed anything? Have you made impact with the 2 million shekels I gave you? I said, I don't think so. I'm sorry. So he asks me, have you got a plan? Do you know what you need to do to improve? I said, yes. He said, well, take another 1 million shekels and improve it. This time I went down, I worked very hard, I did everything myself. I personally worked with these kids. I personally built the curriculums. I personally went and gave these lessons. Every kid that wasn't doing well, I personally went to him and asked, what can I do better? How can you do better? How can I help you? Every instructor that wasn't doing well, I went to him and made sure that he can improve. I got feedback for every step I took. I became better. And I didn't need 1 million shekels for it. Actually, it cost almost nothing. The fact he gave me another 1 million shekels the second time is not what changed. It's not what made Atid Plus become better. It's not what made the organization grow. What made the organization grow was me changing, me working harder, me deciding to do something. It wasn't 1 million shekels. Then again, you hear this story and you're always surprised. You say, I'm getting another 1 million shekels and now you made it. I didn't make it because of another 1 million shekels. I made it because I was willing to work very hard.